NMLS number 65084, equal housing lender. Woo!
As an adult, don't we all miss spring break? Nothing like taking a week off from all your responsibilities. Well, here's the next best thing for adults, a spring break from house payments. SaveWithConrad.com can help you get rid of all your credit card debt, just like that. We're routinely helping our listeners save $5, $6, $7, even $800 a month. And you don't need perfect credit or money out of your pocket to do this, but check this out, no house payments for 2 months. At SaveWithConrad.com. Hey, it's Conrad Thompson, and you're listening to Grilling JR. And of course, we couldn't do it without the Hall of Famer, the voice of wrestling, Mr. Jim Ross, who's not with us today. Instead, we've got some brand new content you've probably never heard before. Now, I must admit, this one's on me. I kind of didn't think about the fact that JR wasn't coming home after his West Coast pay-per-view. Of course, we had a live Rampage this past Friday night. A huge pay-per-view this past Sunday night for AEW that I can't wait to talk about with Jim next week here on the program. But Jim did not get to go home to Oklahoma or Florida. He's got live TV last night as you're listening to this. So there was, of course, a live Dynamite and a taped Rampage. So he's still there. So as a pivot, if you will, I thought, you know what? It's WrestleMania season. Why don't we take a look at some of our classic WrestleMania moments that you've never heard before? Let me explain. This is brand new content that's normally exclusive to adfreeshows.com. So what I wanted to do is sort of give you a peek behind the curtain and see what that's like, to take a listen to some of the bonus content that we create each and every month and have since March of 2020. So at this point, there's 3 years worth of bonus content. Of course, you get all of our shows early and ad-free, more than a dozen podcasts starting at just $9 a month. And right now, we're actually offering a trial. So if you like what you see here today on Grilling JR and you want more JR and more of everybody else, whether it's Bruce or Tony or Eric or Jeff or Angle or Arn or Foley, it's all at adfreeshows.com, including some other names you don't normally hear from, like Nick Patrick and Mike Chioda. Speaking of Mike Chioda, we're going to take a look at our March 2022 bonus show. So this is from 1 year ago this month. We had Jim Ross hook up with Mike Chioda, the third man in the ring, and the man who put the lyrics to that fabulous WrestleMania 18 match we're still talking about with Hulk Hogan and The Rock. They're going to share stories of the event and answer questions from different members of Ad Free Shows, some of the top guys and the My Push members, but then we're still not done. We've got a brand new bonus show from December where we have JR and my old pal Casio Kid take a look at the unbelievable catastrophe at WrestleMania 20 known as Bill Goldberg versus Brock Lesnar. Of course, the third man in the ring was Stone Cold Steve Austin, and he was the only one the fans were there to see. Woo! They were loud and proud. So you're going to get one of the best, maybe the best WrestleMania crowd responses to a match of all time, and maybe one of the worst. A little something for everybody here to get you primed up and ready for this year's WrestleMania. Can you tell I'm just making this up as I go? Listen, we greatly appreciate you guys subscribing here to Grilling JR. Total scheduling snafu, that's on me. I thought, you know what? Let's don't give them a best of. Let's give them a peek behind the curtain. Let's give them some stuff they've never heard before. You can see all of this over on our YouTube channel as well. Greatly appreciate all of your support and hope that you'll at least take a look. Take advantage of this free trial. If you're digging what you're seeing here and you think, man, I wish I could ask JR a question, or I'd like to watch old wrestling with Jim Ross, you can do it at adfreeshows.com. And the first week is on us. Just check out the free trial. Without further ado, let's get to it. Ladies and gentlemen, here it is. A very special WrestleMania edition of Grilling JR.
I want to welcome you all to this exclusive ad-free show event. And to say I'm fired up, my goodness, I have been looking forward to this all month long, ever since this was announced. It doesn't get much bigger or better than this, because today, March 17th, is the 20-year anniversary for one of the most memorable WrestleMania matches of all time. That's right, it's the iconic Hulk Hogan and Rock match from Toronto, Ontario, Canada, that occurred in Toronto. I'm telling you, it's huge. But this, in typical ad-free show fashion, we aren't doing it alone. No. We're joined by not one, but two icons in their own right for this incredible watch-along experience. First, I want to welcome the third man in the ring that night for this mega event. With 35 years experience with the WWE, he's refereed many a big match in his day, but none may be bigger than this one. From the Monday mailbag, Mike Chioda. Mike, how you doing this evening?
Man, I'm doing great, Paulie B. How you guys doing? How's everything? Thank you for having me on. It's going to be an honor to talk about this match with my good old friend JR and you guys and everybody on Ad Free Shows, man. And 2 decades later, here we are.
Dude, we're fired up, and I'm so glad to see you, man. Love hanging out with you. Always a pleasure.
Yes,
but we have another guest as well, and I want to introduce to all of you a true legend, a Hall of Famer, and man, he's fired up. We've been talking to him in the waiting room. He's ready to go. Yep. The voice of wrestling, laying down the lyrics to the beautiful music that was made on this historic night between The Rock and Hogan. Good old JR, Mr. Jim Ross. JR, how are you this evening?
I'm good, and I'm tired after last night in San Antonio. We had a very aggressive and a very busy show, early flight. I got home, I couldn't find my fucking garage door opener. I haven't been here since October, so a lot of stuff's probably missing. But I'm good. I'm trying to get my second win, but we'll be all right.
All right.
Well, man, it's so good to see you. And like I said, looking forward to this one for a while. And as Ad Free Shows continues to put together these one-of-a-kind events for its members, we're going to watch this match in its entirety, as I said, and bring on several of our friends here to ask you both questions as we check this out together. So with that, it's showtime. I'm going to ask one of the low-key MVPs of Ad Free Shows, Mr. Josh Odom, to kick the show off. He's going to play the audio for us in certain spots as well and funnel some listener questions our way. So, Josh, let's do this the right way. Let's start with that intro package from WrestleMania 18.
A year ago, we would have thought this match could have never occurred. But there's only one place, only one stage for this match. WrestleMania 18, The Rock versus Hollywood Hulk Hogan in one heartbeat.
You know, guys, it feels great to be back in this ring in the WWF. I mean, the WWF made Hulk Hogan a legend. But you know something? Something happened. And then you people turned on me. The WWF fans drove me out of the WWF. I'm the reason all you people are here. I'm the one that put the WWF on the map. I'm the one that made wrestling as big as it is today. There's nobody in this business that's a bigger icon than I am. I'm the biggest star, past or present, in the wrestling world today, and there'll never, ever be a bigger star than Hollywood Hulk Hogan. Hulk Hogan and The Rock in the same ring. Who would have thought they would have ever seen Hogan and The Rock? It was not the people that drove you out of the WWF. They loved you. They believed in you. And damn it, The Rock believed in you. You are a legend. You are, without a shadow of a doubt, an icon, quite possibly the best ever. And seeing as you are back in the WWF, you talked about headlining, main eventing, WrestleMania after WrestleMania after WrestleMania. Well, Hulk Hogan, The Rock says, how do you feel about headlining one more WrestleMania with The Rock? Yes. It'll be a pleasure to kick your ass at WrestleMania. And by the way, Rock, good luck, because you're gonna need it. Not as much as you, brother. Oh, wait a minute! Oh, brother! The Rock just drilled Hollywood Hogan! Oh, brother! The immortal Hulk Hogan versus The Rock at WrestleMania as The Rock bows down to Hollywood Hulk Hogan. You're pitiful, Rock. After I beat you, Rock, you're gonna realize that you're ordinary. You're common. All these millions and millions of fans who were my fans first are gonna see me kick your candy ass at 100% of WrestleMania. See, Hogan, you can beat The Rock in a tag. You can take a hammer to the back of The Rock's head. You can try to end my career. But the fact remains is there is no way that he's not going to walk into WrestleMania, the biggest match ever. Whoop your candy ass. 1, 2, 3.
A match for the ages. The Rock and Hogan at WrestleMania. One-on-one. A match that the world thought would never, ever happen.
Hollywood Hulk Hogan. He will make his 10th appearance at WrestleMania. His first in 9 years. And the challenge for Hulk Hogan is the future of the World Wrestling Federation. The Rock. Wrestling's past. Wrestling's future. This is WrestleMania, baby.
That's a great question. We're about to find out. Only one way to find out is we are live in Toronto at Skydome. Many of the crowd chanting for The Rock. Quite frankly, many in the crowd chanting for Hogan. A mixed reaction here at WrestleMania. I can tell you from talking to The Rock earlier today, he was a big Hulkamaniac as a young man. Oh, look at this. And look at the flashbulbs. This is a WrestleMania moment. Those eyes. On March 17th, 2002. You can circle that date on your calendar. Because I can tell you it's going to be a day that I'm never going to forget. And quite frankly, a match I thought I would never, ever see.
Guys, what a match. What a moment. Mike Chioda, you're standing right there. What are you thinking at this point?
At that point, I became a fan of wrestling. Going through all the years with Hulk Hogan and stuff, and when I first started in the business in the 80s and the mid 80s and stuff, and just became just marked out for a second there. I just, it was just all the flashing lights and the crowd was hot. The Hulk Hogan's entrance couldn't have been any stronger than that. Just this shove off right here was just huge. I mean, just a typical old school shove off was just huge in the flex. It was phenomenal. I became a mark, and then a few minutes later, I just became a referee again and focused on the match.
JR, you're feeling the electricity sitting ringside. What was it like to call something like this? Because coming in, Hogan was the bad guy, but the crowd wasn't having that this night.
Well, Lawler and I just, without saying a word to each other, just with our eyes, we changed the storyline because we didn't perceive that Hogan would get such a massive babyface ovation and show of support that he did, and it made the match when the fans bought into Hogan and all that good stuff. So it was pretty special, and these guys prove that, unlike many in today's game, less is more.
Yeah,
less is more, and they're playing the crowd like a fiddle.
That's
and
right.
And it's working.
Well, guys, as we watch this together, this is all about our ad-free show members. We have some top guys that are going to ask some questions tonight, and I'm going to start bringing them in as we do this. This is an unbelievable opportunity for them. I'm going to start with Bryant Haremza. Bryant, a frequent question asker on both Grilling JR, Monday Mailbag with Mike Chioda. And Bryant, if you can unmute yourself, we'd love to get you in and have your question asked here tonight.
Thanks for getting my question in. JR, Mike, big fans of both shows. JR, you kind of mentioned already that you and the King kind of did a change for how you were going to call the match. Was there any direction from Vince or whoever else was in your headset to kind of change things up, or were they kind of wanting you to stick to a certain flow?
No, he just said, "Say it, God damn it!" What do you do? Say it. No, he didn't say a word. I mean, goddamn, if you can't trust Lawler and JR to call a wrestling match, I mean, it ain't like we're splitting the atom here. You call what's on the screen. You call what you hear. You process everything audibly and visually. But no, Vince was cool on that night. He was good. He was very happy after the show was over that we delivered what we delivered. if you know, in this we took care of both guys. And anytime I compared the two, I always talked about Rock first because I knew Rock was going to be there for a while. At least I thought he was.
Right.
And Hogan was passing through on an extended booking. So he was going to work part-time. And so we just wanted to take care of both guys and make sure they both got their props, got their hugs, as the kids say.
All right, good stuff, Bryant. Let's move on to the next question. Art G, Art, you're up. If we can get you unmuted, you're on with JR and Mike Chioda.
Oh, hey, guys. Sorry, I didn't even realize. I actually don't have a question, but thanks for being here, guys.
All right, thank you.
Yeah, Art. Well, hey, thank you so much. Appreciate you being here. Hope you're enjoying this event as much as the rest of us are. Let's get to somebody that might have a question. That's Amy. Amy, you're on with Mike Chioda and Jim Ross.
Hello.
Hello, Amy. How you doing?
I'm doing good.
Good.
Just a couple quick questions. I wanted to know.
She wanted to know, is anybody else hearing her?
No, she faded out.
The internet. Maybe we can get Amy back when her internet's a little bit better. I'll move on and we'll try to get her back. Brad Stanton, you're on standby, my friend. You ready to come off, unmute, and have something for Jim Ross and Mike Chioda?
Sure. Hey guys, how's it going?
Good,
Great.
Brad.
So I got I think an obvious question, but I'm going to ask it anyway because I wasn't watching at the time. And you'll laugh. The group chat keeps saying no spoilers, which is hilarious right now. But when at the end, I won't say who wins, but at the end, when Scott and Kevin come out, because of the reaction from Hogan that nobody expected, was that turn planned, or was that something that happened on the fly?
It's just organic. It just we waited until the crowd made their declaration. And then we followed along appropriately, or we thought, with a commentary, telling the story. These dudes are writing the music. They're playing their music. The crowd's buying it. They're singing along, so to speak. So it was up to Lawler and myself to provide the lyrics to their music. Their stuff came first.
Well, thank you so much. I don't think it really could have gone any better. So thanks for being out here tonight, guys. Appreciate it.
You bet. Thank you.
All right. Thanks, Brad. Let's move it along to Michael McClanahan. Money Mike, you're on with Mike Chioda and Jim Ross. What do you got for us tonight, buddy?
Good evening, gentlemen. And as always, thank you so much for your time. Tonight, my question's kind of directed at each of you in turn because we have both of you on. I wanted to ask, JR, was there ever a time when you were doing commentary that you noticed Mike Chioda in the ring or any mannerism that you picked up from observing Mike over the years? And on the flip side of that, Mike, what are some things that you learned from Jim Ross's commentary over the years? And just kind of, how did each other kind of influence your perspectives of wrestling?
Well, Mike represented a sports referee. He wasn't jumping around like, an idiot. He was see how quick he got to the shoulders. The other thing about Mike, he's so fundamentally sound. You notice where his head was on that count. His head was head to head with the man whose shoulders were down. And too many referees are so damn lazy that there's no way they can see both shoulders because they're on a bad angle. Mike was always spot on, and because he was looking forward to having his next cigarette when the show was over, he was happy to move right along. But Mike was just so fundamentally sound, and he didn't. And so he's letting Hogan get some heat there without starting his count.
Right, that's correct.
Let him get him some, and then of course the Hulk trying to get to that second rope was a little challenging, but nonetheless, Mike we never had a better referee, and we had some really good ones.
Thank you, JR. I appreciate that very much, JR. And it was right back at Jim Ross. By the way, you were the best paying talent relations ever in my opinion. And you're an icon in the business and the announcing department in a professional wrestling, JR. And you've always been very good to me. And you've always protected me in that ring when I probably was screwing up. I know you probably covered up me probably a million times. But that night, with Hogan being such in good shape and coming back to the WWE at that time, WWF, Hogan being in great shape, The Rock, he was basically passing the torch to The Rock, and which, like JR had mentioned before, we didn't know he was going to take that torch to Hollywood shortly after that. But I mean, this match to me was going to be like it was ex-heavyweight champions against ex-heavyweight champion, and it wasn't going to be a high-flying match. It wasn't going to be a very technical wrestling match. It was just them two going out doing their thing, and they spot on did it, and that crowd was just humming all the way through the night. And I remember during the day, if you can recall, JR, that they really should have put this match on last.
Yeah.
I remember Jericho going around saying, I don't think we should follow this,
He was right.
Yeah. And
he was right. It's just the title superseded the order of events.
Yes, sir.
And I think they were trying to protect the championship. That's just a tradition. But in this case, we should have broken tradition and closed with this. And it would have been a lot better, because as hard as who was that last match? Jericho and Hunter?
Yeah, it was a women's match, I believe, after this, and then Jericho and Hunter.
They closed the show.
That's correct.
Yeah. So, well, they did the best they could. Yeah. Obviously, they delivered the goods.
I feel like we took all 68,000 people at this match, just took the breath out of them after this. Everything was they were just buzzing after it and didn't have the excitement after that. It was just, this was it. This was it for them. And the way that, the Canadian fans got behind Hogan was just phenomenal. They just true wrestling fans all the way around.
Yeah, they hadn't forgotten.
Yeah,
Hogan had a lot of success.
Yes.
A lot of big houses in Toronto, especially. So, it worked out pretty good. This is the longest on camera I ever got. Vince doesn't like the announcer to be on camera very much.
Yeah.
So that was the longest on camera I ever got. Those guys fighting in front of the table.
Yeah. Yep. That's true.
I was so happy. Lawler was ecstatic. First thing Lawler used to do when you get to Raws, you get the formats and see how many on cameras we had.
Yeah, this was one of my stressful parts, making sure I was there in the time and coming in for the bump for The Rock, and then making sure I gave the chair to Mark Yaton. I had to be there. If I wasn't there, it was going to look so stupid. I was so stressed about making sure I was there for timing on that bump.
You were there, buddy.
Yeah, it was. Thank God.
JR, I got to ask, you mentioned it. I mean, you talked about the crowd keeping their energy. How about you as a commentator keeping your energy for 2 more matches after what this had to be a lot of emotion and pull a lot of energy out of you and Lawler at this point?
Yeah, it did. And it wasn't easy, but you just got to get through it, and maintain you want to be true to the audience. All of us can say, and honestly, that the fans made whatever we are within the wrestling business. We owe it to the wrestling fans. Look, so you just got to keep rolling, and I bought in. The crowd helped me get through this. Their emotion, their noise. Like I said, you process your visuals like this: Hogan suffering, trying to not submit to the sharpshooter in Canada. But you listen and you feel, and you just got to keep going. It wasn't hard. It wasn't drudgery. Paulie, it wasn't drudgery. It was tough. No referee. Hogan's tapping like a drunk man, but referee Chioda is still selling his car crash.
Yeah, the night out before.
Yeah. Oh, hey, real quick, let's get back to Amy. I think she's working again. Amy, are you there? Are you good to go now?
We will see. I didn't know what happened last time, so we'll see what happens this time.
All good. It just froze on you, but you're good now.
All right. Well, gentlemen, I wanted to ask you all where this match ranks for you all. So, Mike, for you reffing at WrestleManias, where does this match rank for you? And Mr. Ross, where does this match rank for you in calling a match at WrestleMania? And I hope your health is well, Mr. Ross.
It's good. I'm full of P&V, honey.
All right.
Good.
Be careful around OJR these days. This is obviously a WrestleMania highlight for me because again the crowd delivered. The crowd became the star of this pardon me, this presentation. Pardon me, but that's what I remember. The overwhelming support, and I thought, hey, Mike, did Patterson lay this out?
Yeah, Patterson laid a lot of this out. Yes, he sure did.
He was Rock's guy.
Yes.
And plus, when you're working a territory for 15 years, like Pat did in San Francisco, and you're in some of the same markets every single week, you got to learn to tell stories and continue stories and add another chapter.
Right.
So Pat was always Rock's guy, and that bode very well for Rock because he learned a great deal from Patterson.
Yeah, definitely, sure did. Pat Patterson, Michael Hayes had a lot of input here and there, and in and out.
Yeah.
But
so I think this match would rank in my top 5 of WrestleMania moments. I have a hard time overshadowing what Brett and Stone Cold did at WrestleMania 13 with Ken Shamrock.
Right.
That was pretty awesome. The double turns are very rare and they're very hard to pull off. And so I'll always kind of put that match may be my favorite. I did like calling when I got to come back and do a little work with Taker and Shawn. I think that was at WrestleMania 25. I thought that was a hell of a performance by both guys I like and respect and known forever.
Let's go to the audio here, Josh, real quick. He's fired up, coming back. The crowd's going crazy.
That's where they popped huge on that kick out. They went nuts.
These far away shots are fantastic.
Yeah.
See how slow delivered these guys are working? And for some fans that haven't seen this match, that are joining us tonight, it's a different pace than what you're seeing now with, tope suicidas every turn in the road and things of that nature. They're telling a deliberate story that the audience has the opportunity and the time to process. It's really important to take the time to let the audience process the story you're telling.
Right.
So Hogan got his leg drop in for a false finish, which normally is a finish.
Yeah.
Rock got his rock bottom there, but he couldn't cover.
Right.
There you go. Thank you, Josh. We can go back to you, Mike, because Amy asked you
that rock bottom right there took the wind out of Hulkster. I remember because that was I believe that was the second one of the night because he's going to give him about the third one. It's going to finish, but that second one right there, and I went down, leaned over to him. I remember his ribs were hurting because he kind of groaned and he was like a little bit, but he was fighting through it because I know he had some injury previously going into this match. So, I think that second rock bottom got him there a little bit.
Mike, to finish Amy's question, what would this be your top WrestleMania?
Yeah, I mean, it's I really don't want to say it was one of my best matches. It's top 3, top 5 or something, definitely in WrestleManias. With all the WrestleManias, I can't take away from anything with the Stone Cold Shawn Michaels match in Boston Garden. Roman Reigns, Brock Lesnar with Seth Rollins cashing in the Money in the Bank. And there's so many WrestleManias, thousands of matches I've done with technical or high-flying matches and more technical matches with Bret Hart back in the day and so forth. And so many wrestlers I've gotten to work with throughout my career. But it's top 3, that's for sure. Just the way the crowd reacted. It was just one of the most phenomenal. I mean, for a big dome like that, to be that loud at 68,000 people was amazing. It was something that you hardly ever heard before. I mean, and I've been in front of some big crowds, but the reactions and the expectation of this match was huge because both of them had to come. They really had to come and bring their A game, and they brought it all the way. I mean, the next morning was phenomenal. I was on the newspaper, every newspaper, Sun, Toronto Sun, this one, that one. We were on the front page of National Enquirer. It was like big news, huge news.
All the classy
I was stealing
stuff.
every newspaper I could. I'll tell you that.
All that classy stuff. And National Enquirer got that big spread right next to the sex ads.
Yeah, right.
I think Mike has one of those on his wall, not the sex ads, but the Inquirer.
Yeah, Inquirer and the Sun. Yeah, the Sun used to have the tits hanging out too all the
The teats.
The deets. Hey, Phil S. Let's have Phil S. Get unmuted. Let's have him ask his question for the guys.
Hey guys, how's everyone today?
Good.
Like I said,
Good.
It's a great day because actually I was there,
Oh, cool.
and I saw the program 20 years ago, and there's a young picture of Mike Chioda and a young picture of JR, and that was a great weekend because with Access and meeting Booker T and some other wrestlers there, Rhino, and Val Venus. So it was just a great night, and next day was great. But I can confirm the Toronto Sun did have teats out. So with the Sunshine Girls, because that was being in the hometown of Toronto there. So that was about 45 minutes away, and
Wow.
and back then the Skydome, the Blue Jays weren't very good that day. So there's about 10,000 people. Now, 6,000 to 8,000 people. It was just electric. But what was I guess the question for both of you is kind of what was the expectation for both of you guys kind of going into this match? There was rumors, it was supposed to be Austin Hogan.
Okay, we didn't know. I didn't know what the expectations were.
Okay.
Because you didn't know how healthy Hogan was. You didn't know if they're going to have the chemistry that they both needed.
Right.
They both had to be very unselfish. And there's certain levels and degrees of that. But Hogan did he turned himself back babyface.
Yeah.
But to everybody at the post-match stuff. He's getting the sympathy vote and played it off like a traditional babyface would. So there's the other. Now the NWO guys are disappointed that the Hulkster didn't win this thing.
Yeah.
I'd forgot about this little skirmish.
Yes, they come out and they get him here a little bit. Yeah, that's exactly the truth, JR, what you're saying there, because we didn't know what to expect. There was we were gonna wait till it hit, and then when Hogan's entrance hit, and I was sitting in that ring, it was just like, whoa. I couldn't believe it. It was just like they ain't forget Hulk Hogan all these years, and he looked phenomenal. And what he's done with WCW, coming from WWF to WCW, and what he did there with the NWO is just unbelievable.
Yeah, and it was a nice little comeback here for Rock.
Right.
I appreciate the feed by Kevin and Scott. It's good to see Scott in the ring. God bless him.
Yeah.
And
bless Scott.
So it's cool to see him there. He was as good as anybody gets. The problem with Scott was that people sometimes got distracted by his out of ring situations, and they forgot how good he was as a wrestler. And it's like everybody today just wants the dirt. Did Vince McMahon scream at you in the restroom on October the 3rd, 1994? Yeah. Because you didn't wash your hands before returning to work? So it was just they played. They're still playing the audience.
Yeah.
They set the table. They're playing the audience, and it's keeping it very simple. Simple story. Everybody can process what they are seeing in the ring. That Rock came back to save Hogan, who was being, mauled by his own boys, his own teammates in the NWO. So it's just a simple story to tell. And but Mike, I didn't know how good this match was going to be. Was it a great match? I don't know if it was a great match.
Right.
But was it a great attraction? Absolutely.
Yes.
Absolutely. And they should have closed the show at WrestleMania 18. I think we can all agree on that.
Yeah, that's correct, JR. Absolutely. They hit this match right on. It was just there was a lot, like I said earlier, it was so much expectation, and that's I'll tell you, doing this match, I was just honored to be part of this match, and I really never knew all these years later, thinking back, like, wow, I just did one of the most memorable matches in
history,
professional wrestling.
Yeah, no doubt.
And only if you knew then what you know now, but I was just scared. I was just scared of messing up any spots, and I came through, and they came through even bigger, and it was huge. And like you said, we didn't know what to expect, and there was rumor all day. What are they going to do? What are the fans going to do? Let's see when we get out there. and two professionals like them both. You know, it's just they knocked it out of the ballpark. That's for sure.
I just saw someone in the comments say this doesn't even feel like 20 years ago. Does it feel like 20 years ago to you guys?
Man, not really.
Not really. I mean, you know, not really.
Yeah, I look back, I go, God, I'm so young, but I was 35 years old then, though. I wasn't that young, you know.
My hat was 35 years old.
Oh,
and by the way, Jared, thank you for the payday back then, too. Oh,
you didn't get screwed too bad?
No, not by you, sir. You always took very good care of me. I
took care of the referees. They did a hell of a job. They were instrumental in the success of a lot of these matches. People
and
forget
you always
that stuff.
appreciate the referees. Yes, sir, you have.
His favorite paydays when you paid him after the chair shot he took at WrestleMania 15.
Yes, yeah. Yep, with Rock and Austin. Yep, thank you very much for that bonus, too. I appreciate that.
Did you get electric cheese on your Whopper that night?
Yeah, yes, sure did, boy. I heard ringing in my head for like 3 days. It was like a telephone ringing.
You probably had a concussion, and nobody wanted to talk about it.
Right, and you didn't even know you had a concussion.
Killed him. Might get a lawyer. No, okay, don't say anything about that. X-day concussion.
Yeah, back then it was like, oh, I just got my bell rung. That's it. That's it.
See, this is the glamour shot you're looking for. All ad lib. Now you do this, then I'll do that.
Yeah.
And I'll write all my spots down on a notebook.
Right.
You know, like today, guys write stuff down, and sometimes you see guys that'll work on a match that's 5 minutes long on for TV, and they collaborate for hours.
Hours.
It's like you're taking the fun out of your own job, man.
Yeah, you know, that's true, JR, because there's a lot of times when I go up in the beginning of the day and I'll ask the guys, hey, I'll get with you, put it all together. I really sometimes didn't like to sit there the whole time and listen what they might do and what they will do. Oh, we're not going to do this. We might do this. I didn't really want to hear all that because I didn't want to put that all in my head. So I'd let the guys and the boys really put their matches together pretty much, keep checking back with them, keep checking. When they got it pretty much finalized, I sit and listen to everything from each opponent, from the babyface, from the heel, and get their perspectives on how the referee, they want to work with the referee, has the babyface want me to work, or has the heel want me to work. And then I just was scared to get too many, oh, we're going to do this, and then we're not going to do this, and then get that in my head. So I used to like really just get it when they all put it together.
My wife started me on Athletic Greens right at the start of the pandemic. She wanted to optimize our immune system. And you might be asking yourself, hey, what is this stuff? We see that scooper right there? Well, with one delicious scoop of AG1, you're going to be absorbing 75 high-quality vitamins, minerals, whole food source superfoods, probiotics, and adaptogens to help you start your day right. This special blend of ingredients supports your gut health, your nervous system, your immune system, your energy, your focus, your recovery, your aging, all of your things. And it's also lifestyle friendly. Whether you're trying to eat keto or paleo or vegan or dairy or gluten-free, has less than 1 gram of sugar, no GMOs, no nasty chemicals, no artificial anything, and it still tastes good. It's going to support better sleep quality and recovery, better mental clarity and alertness. And we look at it as almost like an investment in your all-in-one nutritional insurance. Don't just take Jim's word for it. Don't just take Conrad's word for it. Go check it out, man. 7,000 5-star reviews.
Unheard of.
It's crazy to think. I couldn't tell you the last time I left a review. It has to be over the top, crazy awesome for me to go out of my way, figure out where to leave it, type it up, create an account, click send. It has wowed over 7,000 people. Not 1 star, not 2 star, not 3 star, not 4 star. Dave Meltzer's favorite 5-star affair. And right now it's time to reclaim your health. Arm your immune system with convenient daily nutrition. Just 1 scoop and a cup of water every day. That's it. No need for a million different pills and supplements to look out for your health. And to make it easy, Athletic Greens is giving you a free 1-year supply of immune-supporting vitamin D and 5 free travel packs with your first purchase. All you got to do is visit athleticgreens.com/JR. Again, that's athleticgreens.com/JR to take ownership over your health and pick up the ultimate daily nutritional insurance. That's athleticgreens.com/JR.
Good stuff, man. Good stuff. Help you. And I tell you, it's so simple. I mean, it's idiot proof.
It is.
It's idiot proof. So and it helps you get healthier. And I just think it's just a no-brainer. This is a great product, folks. You're going to get a year's supply for free.
That's right.
That's a hell of a deal. I don't care what you're buying.
No doubt.
So give it a shot. A lot of guys are using it. I know a lot of the wrestlers use it because it's a quick startup. It's a quick way to get your motor started in the morning with that one scoop. One scoop does everything.
Good stuff. All right. Next up, we have James Elcry. I believe the match is over, so we're going to go full screen here. James Elcry, what do you got for Jim Ross and Mike Chioda?
Well, Paulie, Odom, thanks for getting me on. Chioda, good to see you again, man.
Good to see you too, James.
Mr. Ross, I kind of have just a real quick question about, you said that most of the finish or the post-match was kind of ad-lib considering the reaction to Hogan. But the fact that they took that much amount of time post-match, I mean, I know you're not going to give The Rock or Hogan any flack, but were some people kind of like, hey, y'all are milking this a little bit, and were they trying to call them back to the locker room to get the show going?
No. You don't screw up art. It was extemporaneous. And nobody gave a shit if you're losing some of your time because you can't follow it anyway. Right. We might have been doing some of the talents that followed in the succeeding matches a favor by eliminating some of the time that they would have had because they're still not going to follow it. If they got 10 minutes to their match or 20 or 5, you're not going to follow it. So no, that was a moment that you allow to grow and to, the audience to sample. It was just, it was amazing. And I think that was, no, nobody said anything. You can't screw up a moment like that by saying, we're going to get in a hurry. You know, Hunter and Jericho need more time.
Right.
They don't need more. Hey, look, they're good workers, maybe great workers, probably are, both those two guys. They got to take that hand that's dealt them. And, they knew that they were going on in a tough spot. So, the fact that, you're protecting the title is kind of what it was, a tradition. Right. So that was what went on last, and that was the reason for it. But no, nobody said a word, man. You got to let these moments grow and just let them happen. And because how many exits in pro wrestling in any of our lifetimes can any of us remember an exit taking that long and being that significant?
Right.
It's hard to, I can't think of any. And I've been doing this a long time. So you let the moment grow, let it happen. And that's what we did.
Yeah, when they went, I think we had 25 to 30 minutes with entrances and everything. We knew it was going to go about 40 to 45 minutes with everything, with the aftermath and the entrances to the match and to the aftermath. And when one of my best, it's just a little pet peeve, but look how Hogan was still selling the ribs coming up the ramp.
Yeah.
It's still just registering it.
He's a baby face. He's looking for sympathy.
But most guys don't even register what they've been hit with 2 minutes ago. And it got me it just gets like to see the old school with the shove off, the push off, the flex and everything else. It was just it's unforgettable. It's just that's how
I wonder how many young guys will watch this someday, some wrestlers of today's generation,
right,
and actually learn from it or say, God damn, that was slow.
Yeah.
They didn't leave their feet. I didn't see one Hurricane Rana.
Right.
How the hell can we have a match with a Tope Suicida or a Hurricane Rana? By the way, we got to have a Hurricane Rana or a Tope Suicida because it's important to get the Japanese and the Spanish culture within the television shows.
Right.
Because you some bitches don't know any holes.
Unbelievable. Yeah.
Isolate a body part. Act like you know about wrestling and not about just acrobatics. There was no acrobatics in that match. And it became one of the most well-known, as we're talking about today, one of the most well-known and memorable matches of all time.
It's not Cirque du Soleil. It's pro wrestling. So there you go. I like it, Jim.
Vince used to call it, he used to want to call it entertainment for a while, right, JR? Just entertainment, right?
Oh, yeah.
We kind of got away from the professional wrestling a little bit.
Oh, he didn't like that. He thought that was a negative.
Yeah, negative, right? Right.
Yeah. It just made him rich. That's all I know.
Yeah,
what the
sure
hell?
Did.
Don't let the facts and the dollars get in the way of a good story.
Yes, sir.
Anthony Pyers, you're on next with the guys.
Gentlemen, it's Gentlemen, it's a pleasure to talk to both of you. Jim, thank you because I quit smoking about an hour ago, but seeing you.
To each his own, young man. To each his own. I don't need no goddamn lecture either.
Yeah.
Well, thank you very much. What's your question, Anthony?
Two quick things. Two quick things. Number one, go Pats. Number two,
That's important to get that in right now because Go Pats is a very topical thing to talk about right now here in the goddamn month of fucking March.
Absolutely. It's always Patriot season. My question, guys, is this. You've been asked a million times about this particular match. I want to know what match, other than this, gave you guys that emotional high, especially you, Mike, because you being in the ring. What match took you by surprise and took you on that emotional roller coaster that very few matches take you on? Thank you.
The roller coaster ride, I'd have to say this match took me for a roller coaster ride at the beginning, but other matches like Stone Cold, like I mentioned, Stone Cold and The Rock in the beginning, I did the first 5 to 10 minutes of that match before I took a chair shot in Philadelphia. It was the first time they've touched, I believe, in like a year or something, and that's the way they did it back in the day. When they didn't touch that's what I love, when they didn't touch for the longest time, and then they finally touched after a year of going back and forth at it. And I'd have to say, I can't take away from Stone Cold and Shawn Michaels in Boston Garden, that match right there. It was just with Mike Tyson, the Enforcer. So working with those three icons as well, too, in Boston Garden was phenomenal. It was, an unbelievable match in my career.
I got real excited to watch calling the TLC matches.
Yeah.
Because the Dudleys, the Hardys, they had made a hell of an in-ring debut a Wednesday night on AEW. Sure glad we got those guys together. Our tag team division is strong. But the Dudleys, Edge and Christian, and the Hardys made history. They created a match that created a pay-per-view, and they are in uncharted waters. And I had never called a TLC match that I can recall. I may have somewhere down the road, but I don't recall, and especially a three-way TLC match. Those guys just astonished me with the things that they did, the chances they took, the innovation, the creativity. I still when I see any of them, that's always a part of our little visit. So is the TLC stuff. They made history, they created history. And now we can all enjoy that by going back and watching some of those matches. Go back and watch the intricacies and the split-second decisions that had to be made in those TLC matches, and you'll take a real newfound look or feel for that match and those guys' work. They're all Hall of Fame stars, no doubt.
All right. Next up is Mike Gallagher. Mike, you're on with Jim Ross and Mike Chioda. What do you have for the guys tonight?
Hey guys, good evening. I just had a quick question. I mean, obviously, match is great, but what I really loved about it is how not only did Hogan play a great face, Rock played an amazing heel in the match. Who was a guy that you felt, other than The Rock, because I think he did it great, was so not necessarily like turn on a regular basis like the Big Show, but who was one of the best guys to really pick, all right, I'm going to be a heel or a baby face in this match and just make it work, if that makes sense?
That's a tough question. If you're a great worker, you can do it.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of guys that can pull it off. It's not that difficult. It's the subtleties. You're not really doing. I remember talking to Steve about turning babyface, and he hated it. He cursed me out. We had strong dialogue, which we had on many occasions. That's why I think we both have such great respect and love for each other, is that we've always been, really honest with each other. But man, I said, you got to change how you wrestle. You're not going to add any new holes. You're not going to change your game plan. Just be you. And it's a matter of how you sell. There's a way to sell as a baby face. There's a way to sell as a heel. And he came around, and plus, after I showed him some Hogan's old royalty checks, how much he was earning for being a babyface selling a load of T-shirts, foam fingers, and all that stuff.
Yeah.
He was easier to convince because when people say it's not about the money, I promise you, it's all about the money.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, I mean, you know, I can't take away from not at all one bit from an icon like Stone Cold Steve Austin. When that glass used to crack and his music used to, you know, and break that glass, and then them crowds used to just stand up and just.
It helped all those get ready to go. It fired us up.
Yeah,
it was like that
sure
last bit of inspiration that you needed, because the audience gave you everything that they had when they heard that glass break.
Yes,
and he could do the smallest thing and get a big pop for it. And that's exactly what Rock and Hogan did. They did small territory like matches, a match in that at WrestleMania 18. Yes, all those spots I'd seen dozens of times.
Yeah.
But because the audience was what they were and what they were doing, what they were contributing, and these two massive stars were executing it, that's what made it so memorable. It wasn't the uniqueness or boy, I never seen Hogan do that move before. They didn't have to do anything new. Why do new if you don't need it? And it's a waste of motion. Keep it basic and execute, and that's what those guys did in spades.
Yeah, they executed all the way 100%.
Hey guys, real quick, if you're not a top guy, just again, this is the opportunity. Sign up to be a top guy. That's when you're able to ask questions like events just like this. We have other top guy only events that you can be a part of as well. I think you would agree with me tonight. This has been phenomenal. We have a few more questions that are lined up, but again, think about it. Do it. Top guy, that's where it's at. A lot of top guys tonight. If you're on the fence and you're not a top guy, talk to them, and they'll tell you this is the place to be for a lot of awesome events like this one. So we have 3 more up. That's what I'm getting from my man Josh Odom. We're going to go to Eddie Prather next. Eddie, what do you have for the guys?
Hey, Mike. Hey, JR. Mike, it was great to have met you at Top Guy Weekend.
Got it, Eddie.
You did a hell of a job selling in that match.
Thank you.
JR, the question is specifically for you. If the crowd had not turned Hogan that night, like they did, what were there plans for Hogan to be turned eventually down the road, or what were the plans?
Well, he came in as a heel with the NWO thing, and the fact that it took 3 of them to beat up Rock and all. We did everything we could do to make Hogan a hotter heel, because the hotter Hogan was coming in when he was going to do the honors and Rock was going to go over, it gave Rock a more substantial and significant win. That's the nature of this business. It's really simple. If you're going to go over, you want to beat somebody. So in order for that to occur, you got to sell for them. You got to be unselfish, and you got to make it look like you're losing. And somehow, some way, as the babyface, you overcome the challenges. So, but again, we didn't prepare for now. If he does this, he does that. That's how you do a ball game. How would you do a football game? And all of a sudden, you think your team is going to, the Patriots, for God's sakes, are going to run the ball, and all of a sudden they're throwing 50 passes a game. You call what you see. You tell that story. Again, the talents or the ball players or the game plan, they dictate what we do. And so that's how it works. And there's no mystery or no secrets. You call what you see. You try to embellish and make better what you're seeing and hearing.
All right. Eddie, thank you so much for the question. Let's move over to Mark Nelson. Mark, what do you have for the guys this evening?
Hey guys, thank you for taking the time to do this. Really appreciate it. It's always a blast. I guess my question is, which modern talent do you think would have the capability to tell a story like this today?
Several. I'm not going to go down WWE's roster because that's not my gig. I don't see them enough to give you an intelligent answer. They got a lot of good talent, really good talents there. But on our side, on the AEW side, I can promise you that Bryan Danielson, and Adam Cole, and Adam Page, and any other Adam you want to announce or name could do that. We're blessed with a lot of really great talents that have older mentality. They have a throwback. They want to preserve some of the traits that made pro wrestling great and made what made us love it. So yeah, there's a few guys out there that can do that, but most guys are just a lot of guys are going from spot to spots, and they're not working holes and body parts. You can't feel the hurt, the pain, the suffering, the agony, the blues, blah blah blah, because you're saying, "Oh shit, oh wow, ooh," and so it's just but there's a lot of guys who can still do it. Getting the opportunity to do it. You know, we had who was it? Did Adam Page and Kenny Omega go an hour? Seems like they did.
We had Omega and Bryan Danielson. No. They did the hour when Bryan Danielson first joined.
Okay.
Yep.
That's it. Yeah, I couldn't remember, but
right.
They pulled it off. It was a good hour. And I've seen hours that fall flat on their face, and I've seen some that deliver the goods, like the one we're talking about here tonight. But there's a lot of guys that can still do that. It's given the opportunity. If their boss calls those plays, we got guys that can run them. And I'm trying not to make this an infomercial for AEW, but bottom line is, it's not a lost art. It is becoming a more rare art, but it's not completely disappeared.
Yeah, and I mean, and to that, Jerry, you're right. I mean, at Revolution, I seen Adam Page and Adam Cole as a fan's perspective have one hell of a match that night.
Yeah,
unbelievable, and
great story.
Yeah, great story. And you know, before I left the WWE, I got to do one of Adam Cole's matches at NXT with Keith Lee, and then you know, the big guy, small guy, the way they tore that house down and had to put that match together was phenomenal. I was like, guys, you're fucking doing a great thing up here at NXT. You know, like I a lot of belief in that Adam Cole and that Keith Lee, and the match they had, we went like 25 minutes at this place in Houston. And you know, like CM Punk, Bryan Danielson, and
another,
all that,
they could do an hour easy.
Yeah,
and tell a great story.
Tell a great
like I said,
story.
we got a lot of old spirits,
right.
Old pro wrestling spirits in our locker room that probably all would relish the opportunity, if provided, to do an hour Broadway on television.
Right. And I think with the WWE part, I think people would want to see probably at some point, probably Brock Lesnar and The Rock go at it. The Rock is in phenomenal shape. Brock Lesnar is always a beast and in badass shape. And I think with all the experience and all the years they've been around, I think that's going to be a draw in the cellar one night.
Well, Brock and anybody, especially the great one.
That's great.
I don't know. I'm leery that match would ever happen. It might.
Yeah.
I'd be very surprised, and pleasantly so. I'd watch it.
Yeah.
But I don't know that it just doesn't seem likely to me.
Right. With Brock Lesnar and The Rock, then, huh?
Right.
It's 56 after the hour, guys. We have time for one more question, then we'll let you both go. Again, we appreciate your time so much for doing this tonight. This has been an epic event. I think you'd see all the comments in the chat. Everybody's so grateful that you're here. Joe M., you're the last one that I got from Josh Odom that has a question. We're going to go to you and then wrap it up. Joe, what do you got for him?
Good job, Joe. Right on top of it.
You can't hear him.
Unmute.
Joe, your microphone appears to not be. Oh.
Joe, you all right? You want us to call the cops? Getting kidnapped there or what?
Joe, are you okay? Are you okay, Joey? No, Joe? All right. Josh, do we have one more person that we could get in before we close it down?
I believe that was, hold on just a second. You can go to Jason's iPhone.
Jason's iPhone, what do you got?
Hi there, guys.
How you doing, Jason?
Yeah, I'm very well, thank you. I was actually in attendance for that WrestleMania. I sat in the 6th row. And yeah, it was awesome. It was honestly
Mom and Dad came through, didn't they?
Oh yeah, Mom and Dad. Actually, I was very lucky. Yes, Mom and Dad did come through, and had a friend that worked at the stadium there. And then,
did you get a phone?
I'm 40. I'm 42, so I mean, it's crazy. I was younger then, but I really enjoyed that match. I think it was one of my favorite matches ever that I've ever watched and never been at live. My question is for you, JR. Where do you think Hogan had the bigger ovation? I know there was more people at the Sky Dome, but I went to Montreal and the very next night for Monday Night Raw. And when Hogan came out there as well, like he blew the roof off the place. And
right.
Just want to know, like, where do you think he had the most earth-shattering ovation out of those?
Well, that Menachie missed that Montreal was pretty impressive. Of course, the arena held in the noise better than the cavernous stadium. That was very impressive. And what got him that big pop was what he did the night before in Toronto. Fans followed right along. And so I equated it to be at an Eagles concert. You know, they're not going to sing it. You know, I don't want to hear the Eagles sing new music. I really don't. And I love them. They're my favorite band. But I'm not going to get in the front of the line to say, well, I'm only here because of the new music. You know, I want to hear Hotel California and all those things that I could sing, you know, I've sang in different states of mind. So that's how I looked at it. It was people having a kind of a reunion, an emotional reunion that harkened back to their more favorite days of pro wrestling. And you couldn't book a two guys that had more sizzle, more star power, quite honestly, in a brand new match. That was another thing that was kind of cool. The match was the first. So, and we'd done the angles and set the table, but all the dastardly things that Hogan and company did to Rock still didn't make Hogan a heel. He was singing Hotel California and they wanted to hear it.
That's true. I mean, you know, 68,000 plus fans in Toronto Sky Dome, in a big dome like that. It was so loud, and I was so impressed for such a big dome, because the noise carries, and sometimes it just takes away a lot of these open stadiums, the big stadiums. But that dome for 68,000 people, I mean, it was better. That was the better pop than I've heard at any beginning of a Super Bowl. I mean, you got to remember these flashlights in the beginning of a kickoff in the Super Bowl, and you know, you don't even get half the roar that you got for that Rock and Hogan match in Toronto Sky Dome. And of course, like JR said, in the 20,000, 18,000 seat arena in Montreal the next Monday night, which is always a used Monday Night Raw.
Right.
That, you know, the sound kept in, and that's why it was such a huge pop. And
that's a good question, though. I'm glad you brought it up, because I'd not forgotten, but I had not focused on the next night in Montreal when preparing for this little piece of business. So he resurrected himself. He rose from the ashes as Hogan the babyface.
That's true.
It's his body just wouldn't hold up. You know, he's had like 8 or 10 back surgeries and all those things.
Right.
It's a credit to Hogan that he was there trying to do what he could do. And somebody's going to say, well, he didn't do much.
Man,
he did a lot.
He was phenomenal.
Yeah, he did a lot. He got over, and the crowd bought it, and they got their money's worth. And I think that's what it's all about. Audience getting their money's worth and loving every minute of it.
That's the truth.
All right. Well, listen,
that was one of the highest paid WrestleManias at that point, wasn't it, JR? Besides Hogan and Andre?
You know, Mike, I don't know. I think it might have been.
I heard it was something like the second or third from Hogan and Andre, the most.
It did real good. The thing I remember, you remember different things. I took my late wife to that event in WrestleMania because she could wear her new clothes. God bless her. All that Louis Vuitton stuff. Had a good payday, and I couldn't pay myself. I was up to Vince. But the night before WrestleMania 18, Chan and I went to dinner with Chris Benoit and Nancy. And when I think back at things like that, and the other thing, across the restaurant sat Scott Hall. I don't know what happened over the years with Scott Hall and Chris Benoit. Have no idea. I didn't investigate. I should call Meltzer, get the dirt.
Yeah.
Yeah, we need the dirt. We got to have it. Got to have it. And but that was a tense little moment. And thanks to my kind wife and Nancy talking to everybody off the ledge, the last thing the head of talent needs to have is a goddamn fight in a restaurant not before WrestleMania. But they never came to blows. They didn't really say much, but you could tell they should not both have been in the same place at the same time. But those things like that, you remember. I don't remember what I ate, but I remember being with my late wife and thinking all those, they're not even here. None of those people are here anymore. Right. I don't understand why I'm here. Quite frankly, I should have been gone long before my wife. I'd have preferred it that way. But man, oh man, that was just things like those things pop up all the time when you're thinking about these deals. I know we did a lot of media in Toronto. I think Carl DeMarco did a hell of a job promoting that market.
Yeah.
He lived there. He was kind of a gadfly. He knew everybody. He was the world's biggest PR guy, I guess. And he did a hell of a job. And so there was a lot of great memories. A lot of great memories.
We used to have a nice office over there in Toronto, right? Ontario.
Sure
Carl
did.
DeMarco used to run that office pretty much.
He did.
Right.
He did.
Yeah.
Well, guys, you have given us more than we ever expected this evening, and I want to thank both of you for doing this. And we can see over your shoulder, Chioda, the entire night, that jersey that you wore at that event. And The Rock and Hogan have both signed that to you as you commemorate the event. That's right, his memorabilia.
Mikey's got swag.
Yeah, I got a lot of swag, JR, a lot of swag.
I've only got John Wayne's last hairpiece. Who gives a shit about that? I'd rather have Hogan and Rock signing something from that night, quite honestly.
Yeah, JR, for many years, I never got autographs from the boys because the old school boys, like George Animal Steel and old school, like you never wanted to go up and ask him for autographs. But then at certain points, I started saying, brother, do you mind signing this for me, please? And they'd be like, sure, Coyote, no problem. And I'd be like, thank God,
that's cool.
And got some good stuff signed.
Yeah.
Some good memorabilia.
We should all enjoy every day of our lives.
Yes.
And make every day. You can make in your own way, in your own world, you can make every day special.
Right.
You really can. It's up to you. And
JR, Adam from Bama suggested maybe you can have Rock and Hogan sign the hairpiece one day. So you never know.
That won't happen.
No? Okay.
That's why he's in Alabama and the rest of the world is not.
Oh, that fun. I love Jim.
Roll Tide. Roll Tide, Conrad. Roll Tide. Roll Tide. Had 3 shows. Roll Tide.
What a way to close it down. My God, you're a gem. You're gold. Yeah, fantastic. Listen, you guys have been fantastic tonight. This has been a treasured event. And I'll tell you, if you're interested in learning more about being a top guy, hang on afterwards. JR, Mike, I want to thank you. You guys are good to go. We appreciate you so much for doing this tonight. Let's give them a round of a virtual applause for doing this, guys. A little virtual clap, a little golf clap. Thank you guys so much for doing this. These guys will never forget that, so thank you.
After 10 years of anxiety, I can finally see the light at the end of the tunnel. That's a testimonial from Mind Bloom customer Molly. 10 years. Think about that. If you don't live with anxiety and depression, it's easy to just look at someone, maybe someone you love, and wonder why they just can't get up, get going, and quote unquote fix themselves. Or maybe you're wondering that about yourself. You see others living their life when you'd settle for just one day without feeling like everything was collapsing on you. It's hard, but it doesn't have to be this way. Mind Bloom knows this and can help. Mind Bloom is the leader in at-home ketamine therapy for people looking for a new way to treat their anxiety and depression. They combine science-backed medicine with a guided treatment plan that's both affordable and fast-acting. To begin, take Mind Bloom's online assessment and schedule a video consult with a licensed psychiatric clinician. If approved, you'll work with Mind Bloom on your specific treatment plan, and you'll be mailed a customized kit complete with medicine, a journal, and treatment materials. After only 2 sessions, 87% of Mind Bloom clients reported improvements in depression and 85% reported improvements in anxiety. It's time to enter your next chapter in mental health and well-being. Achieve transformational outcomes with Mind Bloom. Right now, Mind Bloom is offering our listeners $100 off your first 6-session program when you sign up at mindbloom.com/JR and use promo code JR at checkout. Go to mindbloom.com/JR, promo code JR for $100 Offer your first 6-session program today. That's mindbloom.com/JR, promo code JR.
Welcome into a bonus episode of Grilling JR. I'll be your host this time, Mr. Casio Kid, and I'm joined by the one and only, the living legend, the man in the black hat, Mr. JR. Jim Ross, how are you doing, sir?
I think I'm changing my name to Casio Kid, too.
Boy, please, I need all the help to get it over that I can.
Johnny Walker did well with wrestling, too, right? So
yeah, you be Casio, too?
It might be a trend. Hell, I don't know.
It might be a 2023. We'll take a second Casio. Mr. Ross, thanks for joining me again. Last month we went over the Montreal screw job.
JR, please.
JR? Yes, sir.
Yes,
this time we're going from the Montreal screw job, which, like we announced last time, regardless of the finish, was a hell of a match. This time they're putting us with the one and only infamous WrestleMania 20 match between Goldberg and Brock Lesnar.
Yeah, I prefer to remember WrestleMania 20 as a great night for Benoit Guerrero.
It was great. You had 2 title matches after this one, thankfully, that saved Mania 20.
Yeah.
But they stuck us with this one for a good one.
Here's the thing about this. This match was impacted more by social media than any match I could remember until that point.
Wow.
There may be something after that I forgot or you didn't bring it up or whatever. But the issue is that the crowd was ready to kill those guys because they were relieving them.
Yeah.
Goldberg's deal was up. He was out of there. Brock was just being Brock. They don't understand how to manage a high-strung athlete. At that time, Vince didn't, because he never was around too many athletes. In the sense that I'm not saying the boys that he hired weren't good athletes. I'm just saying he never took it on himself to study the true athlete. And Brock Lesnar was a true athlete. He's not, hey, brother, and hey, dude, all the shit to do. He wasn't. So when you see a guy like that getting frayed on the edges, i.e. burning out, you can take him out of the fire. And you do that by paying attention and communicating with your talents. And but Brock was almost uncommunicatable. He was angry. He was mad at the world. He wanted to get out. He was burned out. So the time those guys made their entrance, which we're going to show everybody here in a moment, it was the jury had already convicted those guys. They didn't have a trial. Trial was over. Trial was over when they first made the scene. And the only thing that really saved the day was the fact that Austin was a referee.
Yes.
So the fans got to see Steve, and they had not been seeing Steve that much up until that point because of the injuries. So it was a stacked deck. They did Goldberg and Brock. If they had a 5-star match, nobody was going to notice.
Right.
They're mad at him. They're pissed because you're leaving us. Daddy's leaving home. So get over it. And so anyway, that's these guys they're up Schitt's Creek without a paddle from the get-go. And as you will hear, that was pretty well confirmed, I think, as we listen to this match.
The chants get rowdy. And luckily, like you said, Austin's there for an exclamation at the end, which we'll get to. This is coming off No Way Out 2004. And Brock had just lost the title, which, by the way, hell of a match with Eddie in that pay-per-view.
Right.
And now he's getting ready, and now he's announced, of course, a week out that he wants to be a football player. When did you hear that? About when everybody did? About a week out?
No, earlier.
A little bit earlier?
Yeah. Because you know why, Casio Kid, number one?
What's that?
Because I listened to people. I communicated with talent. I paid fucking attention. And so I was aware he was seeking greener pastures. And the next green pasture, pardon me, that he saw was the Vikings. Pardon me.
He's also going against Goldberg at this time, and Goldberg is, of course, on a short-term one. How was he to communicate with at this time?
Not bad. His journey and that his tenure at that time had already been established.
Right.
He knew when he was leaving. For Brock to leave was a little bit more of a surprise. He didn't walk out. He gave his notice. Everything's above board.
Right.
It's just that he had other plans, and he had some buddies that played on the Vikings. Brock went to school in Minnesota. He lived in the Minneapolis area for a long time. So all those big weightlifters and football players and wrestlers were buddies of Brock's. So they had convinced him that, hey, brother, you're 6'3" and 275, and people never understood his quickness and how his speed was uncanny. So I enjoyed working with both those guys, but they're both high strung, and they both came from a non-traditional pro wrestling background. And if you don't pay attention to those little things like that, it's hard to communicate with them.
Let's get this going. WrestleMania XX, sold out crowd, Madison Square Garden. Understand day of or maybe week of, we've changed the ending to this. Do you remember that?
Well, I think once we found out that what is the finish of this match? I haven't seen this match since we did it.
Really? Another one you haven't seen since we aired.
I don't go back and watch that stuff.
I don't know if it's like a movie. I don't know if I should tell you the ending.
No, that's all right. I think it wasn't a non-finish, was it?
No, the finish is Goldberg's going to win cleanly with the jackhammer.
Okay.
Apparently it was called before the match, sometime day of, I don't know, week of, that was not going to be the case.
Well, I assume that meant that's when Vince got the official word that Brock wanted out, and he wanted out immediately, like tonight.
So he's got to get beat clean then if he's going to go home.
You don't have to get beat clean, but it don't hurt nothing.
And of course the crowd.
It don't hurt anything if somebody gets beat clean anyway. That's the biggest fucking fallacy there is, and that's the boys selling the promoters on finishes and stuff, and over glorifying their importance. The execution of the match will always trump the final finish.
Crowd chanting, "You sold out" here.
Yep. I heard that a lot.
Like you said, they have no chance right now. Right now, they have zero chance.
The jury has already left the jury room. It's walking down the hallway of the courthouse to deliver the guilty verdict. There's a chance to get Goldberg back for a longer period of time because he didn't express the frustration that Lesnar did. And neither one of these guys grew up as wrestling fans. This is what you're seeing right now in the Garden at WrestleMania, right, of all places. Didn't mean a lot of special stuff for these two guys, in my opinion. I might be wrong there.
Yeah, but they weren't students of the game, so to speak.
That's what I'm saying. They didn't have it running through their veins, Casio. God damn it, listen to me.
Right, you're saying they're not.
They're not lifers. They're money lifers, which is not a bad philosophy.
I'm about to say, sign me up for being a money lifer. Crowd chanting, "Hey, hey, goodbye." They're kind of soaking it in here.
They haven't locked up, have they?
No. Only thing that's happened is Brock yelled, "What the fuck do you want?" to Goldberg.
Austin was somewhat amused, but very uncomfortable.
Yeah, because this is supposed to be their time.
He's a purist, Steve is, and even though it's if fate had dealt Steve a different hand, he'd be in this match. He'd be at the top of the card at WrestleMania if he was healthy. That's a no-brainer. So they finally decide to lock up.
About 10 minutes after they first walked out, so they've had a long time, 15 maybe.
Well, you said those two entrances are about 5 apiece.
Yep. Three. They're here about 3 minutes here.
Yeah. So they're just having a little fun. But the audience knew it, and the audience, like I said, they could be doing hurricane ranas and macaroni and cheeses and all kinds of exotic Mexican or Hispanic or Asian holes. You notice how many wrestling holes now have? So all of a sudden, they either have a Japanese name or a Hispanic name. It's amazing to me.
There's a lot of names. I'll give you that.
my partner Excalibur's really got that stuff down.
I was about to say, usually if you or Shivani call out a move, Excalibur's got a different name for it.
Well, it's like having an inverted atomic drop, and inverted atomic drop's got an entirely different name now. I don't know why. It's been an inverted atomic drop since the 70s, so that's when I started.
We were chatting about it when we at the top of this. WrestleMania 20, for good, bad, or indifference, for all the different reasons, doesn't get talked about a lot, doesn't get shown a lot on replays or everywhere. Of course, Benoit is in it, who had a hell of a match, and so good, bad, or indifferent, nobody talks about that.
Right.
But it's crazy that this is right before incredible title matches on that card.
And don't think those guys didn't pay attention to that, Casio. Eddie and Benoit had been waiting seemingly their entire career for this opportunity. They weren't going to let this turn in the punch bowl have an adverse effect on their match, and boy, it didn't. I mean, they had two phenomenal matches. This is the only bad mark of that show that I can recall that really put a bad taste in one's mouth. And maybe the reason that they showed this match more is because WWE, it wisely continues to use Brock and Goldberg upon occasion.
For the record, this is Goldberg and Brock. That was the 7th match on WrestleMania 20. You had a couple matches after this. You had Too Cool defended their tag team championship. They defeated Shelton Benjamin and Charlie Haas, and then the Basham brothers and the APA in a fatal four-way match. Then you had Victoria, hair versus title match versus Molly Holly. And then you had Eddie defeated Kurt Angle with a hell of a match, 26 minutes. They put on a damn clinic. Undertaker defeated Kane, and then they wrap it up. Benoit defeated Triple H and Shawn Michaels in a triple match for the World Heavyweight Championship. What a hell of a card.
Well, the double knockout spot bought him a little time. At least they make contact. and that's the odd thing about both these guys. Neither one of these guys are adverse or leery of making contact.
Right.
You know, Lesnar is the Division I national champion in wrestling. He was good enough to damn near make the Vikings team. Goldberg was an all-SEC player. He played at Georgia, and I hear they're pretty good.
Pretty good.
So, me and Conrad always talk, when we talk football, Alabama, if Saban made it to the playoff, I'm betting on them to win the whole thing. Shivani won't like that, but I can give a shit. He's a big fan of Georgia when they're the number one team in the country.
All of a sudden he remembers he's a Bulldog fan, doesn't he?
I'm a number one fan of the Sooners, and they're 6-6.
Look at that.
Nice.
Pressing Brock. Oh.
See, now Brock didn't have to go for that move. If he had chosen to not do it, what are you going to do about it? Nada.
What a hell of a spot. Goldberg waiting on the spear.
So it's picking up now, but here's what's killed this match is not really as much of the talents as the audience.
And even if it is sucking them in their mind, they're telling we're not supposed to be. We don't want to be.
I guess so. That's some of that Dr. Phil shit you throw out all the time. Is anybody watching this show out there in Hinterland?
Ad-free shows, Lamb? I think they are. They love it.
You got no promotion online that I saw.
They love you watching the screw job last month.
Really? I hated it. I hated it, son of a bitch. We never talk about that show again ever in my life. I'll be very content.
I hope you hated it because of that match and not me hosting.
Oh no, you did great, but shit, having to relive it again and again. Then Conrad and I went. He showed some interviews this time. Me interviewing Vince, and Brett's group rep. What were you thinking when you said that? We have a deep dive here in progress. And there's a cover, but it's going to be a near fall. So they finally got to some near falls, which I think is good. Again, I defend the talent. I'm a talent-friendly son of a bitch. I like both these guys. Isn't it ironic I signed both these guys, Casio?
There you go. It's called a good damn eye right there.
Well, I got lucky. But I'm supportive of them. And I know what they did. They didn't have a stinker of a match, but of course, I don't know what Meltzer probably had. It was, a dud or -7 stars or something.
You made me think of this earlier when you said the finish doesn't matter if there's a clean finish or not.
I said I don't matter who goes over.
Right. Wins and losses. To the point of, it made me think. My weekly co-host is the one and only Road Dogg Brian James, and
he's a good hand.
He's caught heat before in the past for saying wins and losses don't matter. But to the point that you're saying, everything around it matters to get you to that finish.
Absolutely, and everything matters, Casio. But who goes over is not as viable as some of the talents who are lobbying to not get beat,
right?
As it truly is. If that makes any sense to you. I'm a little coherent tonight, but I'm trying.
Well, I mean, yeah, his point was Austin loses. Austin's not undefeated in his career, so it doesn't matter. So if he loses, if we had a good story to get there, if we got to where we're supposed to be, then everybody loved it. So it does. You're not going to not become a fan. I'm not going to not be an Austin fan if he loses a match. I'm going to root for him even more, probably.
Could be, yeah. If you care about the character, if
Correct.
the character, the persona is over, then all those things are going to fall into place. Getting yourself over, and you don't simply get yourself over by just beating people. If that was the case, you'd hire a bunch of guys that look like they worked at the DX station and pay them a few cents on the dollar and let them go over every week. You think they're going to get over? Oh, shit, no.
No.
I remember when we did the payoffs of this show. Vince said he was very unhappy with the whole process. I think there's a cover. I'm so used to stopping and doing these false finishes. I got a phone call, and Vince's secretary said, Vince wants you to take this call from Brock. I'm thinking, oh, shit. I got better things to do. Because I knew it was just going to be a negative phone call. I wasted both our times. I got this philosophy, man, that I don't get too crazy about things I cannot change or affect.
Right.
So obviously he was calling about his payoff. Now, I don't know how long they worked. I don't know exactly. How long was this match? You got it someplace.
13 minutes.
Okay, for 13 minutes work, they made $250,000 apiece.
I'll sign up for that.
$250,000 for 13 minutes of work. So, but I don't know. It's just funny how all that stuff works out. It told me it wasn't about just the money.
Right.
Even though that's the story that was going around. I think Brock had been convinced by whomever.
Woo! Kicked out of the spear. That was a big move.
Yeah.
Oh, wait, Meltzer, for the record, who, like you said, who cares, gave it 2 stars. For those that are keeping track at home.
Good. Well, I'm glad we got that cleared up. F5.
There we go.
So there's the F5. Surely he won't kick out. Surely not. Oh. So they each have kicked out of the other's finish, even Steven.
Yep.
Boy, that would have been a good one to see. They're both 100% healthy, Austin and Brock.
Oh, incredible.
That's money. That's box office. That's
We've got
that's 2 WrestleManias.
We had a This match sucks chant broke out, and we had a "We Want Brett" chant break out from the crowd.
That Brett thing is not. It's kind of timely from the standpoint. It's just been recent memory for these fans.
Goldberg getting some boos here.
I think the only person in the match that didn't get boos was Stone Cold and the referee.
Here we go.
Was that the jackhammer? It looked like it.
Yep.
And the crowd chants, "Hooray, it's over."
Already.
Now we got a little cherry to the sundae. Here comes the dessert. We didn't bury Brock in our commentary. I thought that was professional.
I mean, watching it back, I've seen way worse matches. Hell, I've seen way worse matches with Goldberg and Brock separately. So,
well, they were Casio. They were looking at. Pardon me. They were looking at higher expectations. The audience. Yeah. And what they didn't want to hear was that both guys are leaving. It's not unusual for it to leak out that one guy is going to another territory, or another guy's going someplace else, whatever. But when both participants that are huge stars decide to bolt, it just creates a different emotion and a different feel. And I'm glad you read off the list of those matches, because I didn't remember what followed that. But as I do recall the show going on between Undertaker and Kane, and then Eddie and Benoit's matches, the crowd was right back where they needed to be. We went home. We went home with a great emotional upswing.
Yeah, it was. I mean, top to bottom, killer matches. If you go back, I mean, first match of the night, Cena and Big Show for the United States Championship. So, hell of a WrestleMania from top to bottom. You just got this one match that sticks out like a sore thumb, and like we said, wasn't even that horrible of a match.
No.
Look, it's not a best, but we've seen worse matches recently. So that everybody was talking about. So, like you said it perfect. It had no hope from the start.
Maybe the fans that see this video, invest 20 minutes or whatever it is in this piece of business, will maybe have a different point of view of this situation. Again, you got two guys that are in a very emotional night. No matter if they were lifelong fans or not, there's 20-something thousand people there. It's Madison Square Garden. It's WrestleMania. You can't tell me that doesn't affect you whether you're staying or going. It just does. It's everybody's on edge and jacked up to the max, and you remember Red Bull gives you wings.
Well, as you know, they're performers. They feed off the crowd, and the crowd hated them as soon as they walked out.
Yep. Go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say I find what you brought up the interesting is what a you said it looked like, and what it seemed like Austin felt a little bit awkward. Yep. These guys are dealing with everyone in the building hates them and is mad that they're leaving, and they're not like you said. This is a moment. You're at WrestleMania at Madison Square Garden, supposed to be one of the biggest moments of your life, and it's just awkward in there.
It is. It was very awkward. Steve was. You could just tell by his facial expressions. He was going to do his job. He was going to do it right. He didn't miss any spots. He was where he needed to be. He was paying attention, and then he got put the coup de grace not once but twice before everybody finally got out of the ring for that match. So, but it was awkward for him. Steve was not a trained referee. I always get a kick out of bookers and TV writers and so forth when they make a wrestler the special guest referee. Well, that's a dumb son. That's the dumbest goddamn decision that you can make. You're going to get a guy that doesn't do this, who has very little, if any, experience, no matter how great they are, i.e. Stone Cold, and you're going to put them in this all-important position of refereeing this match. And when you're in the ring, you're just another participant. The referees are they're lesser level, but when Austin's the referee, it don't drop much, if it drops at all. So I think those guys realized too that he was the most popular wrestler in the match, and nothing they could do about it to make it different. I think if the fans thought that the finish was going to be what it was, and they got a couple of stunners at the end, they might have been a little bit less restless. But in any event, that's what it was. I think social media had a play in it big time, and when people get a little dirt, they got to run with it, man. And now it's an epidemic stage. So I don't know how in the hell we get by with on Rampage being a taped show and the spoilers not being everywhere almost immediately. And I see them occasionally, but I don't look for them. But I do see them occasionally, but it doesn't seem as crazy as it has been. Now Dynamite's a different story. That's the A show.
All right.
So anyway, it was an interesting night, fun night. I'm glad we ended it like we did because there was so much happiness in the Garden after that show was over, and largely because of obviously Eddie and Benoit's journey, and finally that journey culminating with 2 huge wins at WrestleMania in Madison Square Garden, and they still aren't 6 feet tall.
I know you had probably, give or take an hour or so of airtime left after that, so you didn't immediately get backstage, and of course,
no.
I wanted to ask, when you finally got back there, was the buzz more on Benoit and Eddie's matches, or I doubt everybody was still talking about Brock and Goldberg?
I don't recall, Casio, off the top of my head, anybody talking about Goldberg and Brock. I don't know that Goldberg and Brock, I don't know, they may have already left the building.
All right.
I don't remember. But everybody wanted to celebrate with Ed. They wanted to feel something to feel good. And instead of go home, oh my God, that match, shut the business back. It's worse than the, what's the deal that those guys did in the Garden, the DX thing, where they had their little, you know what I'm talking about, don't you?
Were the DX turned heel or the reunion?
The uncalled for, the unplanned reunion.
Oh yeah.
So it was a different emotion in that, but it was just hey, we got through it, and I'm glad we had a good deep roster, which I'm very proud of. Real good
Curtain
roster.
call is what you're thinking of.
Curtain call, yeah, that's it. So it didn't have the same kind of. If the curtain call had gotten more social media play, it would have been very much talked about. It was anyway, but not as much. It didn't have the circulation. It didn't have that you normally get. So just different place, different time. I just know that social media had a huge hand in the gossip and all those things had a huge hand in what was going on and how people were going to perceive the show.
All right, we need to pause the playback right now because we've got to tell you about a brand new product that I don't want you to sleep on anymore. It's with a twist. Hear me out. Science proves that cold sleep creates better sleep. Temperature-controlled sleep repairs your muscles and improves your cognitive function, so you always start your day feeling sharp, confident, alert, and energized. And that's where Sleep Me comes in. Sleep Me is the new home for chilly sleep. Same great sleep, but a brand new name. And Sleep Me makes the coldest sleep systems available. They create this environment that meets your body's natural needs to go ahead and reduce your core body temperatures. That's going to promote deeper, more restorative sleep. Now, these sleep systems are water-based. They're temperature-controlled mattress toppers that fit over your existing mattress, and they provide you with your ideal sleep temperature. They keep your bed at the perfect temperature for deep, cold sleep. And they just launched something I'm so excited about. It's the Doc Pro Sleep System with new Hyper AI. That's right, Hyper AI. AI for your sleep. Come on. Experience the ultimate cooling power with this brand new Doc Pro Sleep System. You pair it with your new Sleep Me app, and then you get real-time temperature adjustments based on your current sleep activity. We're talking about leveraging Hyper AI technology. This is the industry's first sleep tech that tracks and optimizes your sleep temperature, and it does it for you in real time. You're going to get the best sleep of your life with AI-driven technology. Just head on over to sleep.me/JR to learn more and save 25% off the purchase of any new Doc Pro, Uller, or Cube sleep system. This offer is available exclusively for Grilling JR listeners and only for a limited time. That's sleep, sleep.me/JR to take advantage of our exclusive discounts. Wake up feeling refreshed every day. Now let's get back to the program in 3, 2, 1, play.
Both of those guys still coming back for the payday whenever they want to. Brock and Brock and Goldberg, whenever they want it, come get that check.
How sorry do you feel for him? I don't
know.
How can you?
No chance.
So, but hey, everybody lived to fight another day. I'm glad I took the phone call with Brock. I basically had him on the speaker and I just listened to him ramble because he had a lot to get off his chest. And I do remember saying something along the line. I didn't remember how long the match was. You're saying 13 minutes. That's about right.
13:48, I think.
Okay, so I think I did
minutes.
say something along the lines of 250 grand is not bad for 13 minutes of work. and you weren't even in the last match. You weren't in the main event. You weren't, they got paid fairly is my point. I took pride in that.
I think it's got to put everybody, I'm sure everybody on the card that night just, hey, enough talk about that. We've got a damn show to do.
Move on, man.
Yeah, we've got to do our own thing.
Move on to something that feels better. And it was much more important to celebrate Eddie and Benoit's wins and how their matches turned out, more importantly, than to bemoan the Brock and Goldberg match. Let's cut loose and move on. We're not having that match again. We're done with this. So I think everybody was more overjoyed at the success that the Eddie and the Benoit match had, and wanted to get the rub from that, as opposed to going back into the shithole and talking about how the crowd's reaction was. Because as you said, and I agree with you, the match was not as bad as it has been made out to be over the years, but the emotions and I don't have the audio it's going to play on this piece of business, but it was a solid booing and you sold out and whatever. It was rugged, but I don't think it was as bad as we both agree as the perception of it is.
By the way, as we get out of here, they announced just after that WrestleMania 21 would be from Staples Center in Los Angeles, and Fink introduced Vinnie Mac, who got a decent ovation. Vince said the theme of this show was where it all begins again, but without the fans, it would never have begun in the first place. He said he was just there to say thank you. Thank you for making the WWE what it is, and thank you for making this WrestleMania where it all begins again. Thank you very much. You're welcome. How about that?
That's nice. Yeah.
That was a good way to wrap that up. And I think it's
so.
a good way to wrap this up. I appreciate you taking the time. It's an honor to watch this with you for the first time since you called. It's always good to get that insight.
I'd never watched a frame of it since then. And again, that's not an indictment of I haven't watched a frame of a lot of great matches.
Right.
It's just a time thing, and maybe as I'm getting older and I have a platform for it, I will start. But sometimes it's even more fun to have a somewhat of a callback or recall, I guess. It kind of brings back good memories more often than not. And because I'm telling you, this match we just called or narrated is not a bad memory to me.
Right.
Those two guys made a good payday. Once they got past the 10 or 15 minute mark, they started doing things. And it was just a marvel to be able to see two athletes that big, that quick, that phenomenal, because they're just phenomenal, amazing athletes. So I don't have a bad thought about this show, and I'm glad that we saw it again, because I was like most fans. I thought it was worse than it was, and it wasn't that bad.
Yep, we get caught up in the fandom. I think this is the beauty of your show and everybody else on Ad Free Show. We get to hear your side of it, and we get caught up in just the fandom. And I haven't watched that match in a long time, and I didn't remember much about it, like you said. And I thought, well, I just remember it was a stinker, and we all hated that they were leaving, and we were mad at everybody. So it's good to watch, and we appreciate you taking time out. I know you're very busy, so we appreciate you joining us, JR. Always good to chat with you, my friend.
Tomorrow, you bet, man. You did a good job. Tomorrow's my tough day. I got to see my wound care specialist in the morning at 9 o'clock, which is a standard appointment. I dread them. It literally keeps me awake at night on Monday nights. So I was good for tonight. But then I got to go to the airport later on tomorrow and fly to Dallas. So it's just trying to keep up.
We appreciate it, sir, and we're rooting for you, my man.
I appreciate it. I appreciate everybody's thoughts, and also for tuning in every week to Grilling JR. Do good. And we had that little website, jrsbbq.com. A lot of specials ongoing right now, like a lot of online retailers. So, it don't cost nothing to look.
Saw a lot of Christmas gifts getting snatched up from that website.
I hope so.
Yeah.
That's what I'm for. I'm voting yes on that deal. But anyway, I appreciate everybody's support, and we will always do our best to take care of our customers. Customer service is big for us. So you get a chance, just to zip over there and look at it. Look at the site and see if you see something on there you like or a friend would like. And if your wife doesn't know what to get you for Christmas, and if she knows that you're a big wrestling fan, bingo.
Come on.
Yes, we did the shopping for you. It's easy. So anyhow, but you did a good job, man. I appreciate it. We'll do this anytime.
Thank you, sir. Thanks for it. Get that sauce. We appreciate JR telling us how they made the sauce back at WrestleMania 20. We appreciate you being a top guy, top gal for adfreeshows.com. We always appreciate that. Till next time, he's the one and only legend, Mr. Jim Ross. I am Casio Kid. Have a good one, everybody.
It's the hardcore legend Mick Foley here, and I need to call a quick timeout, a brief timeout, because I wanted to tell your listeners what I have been telling Foley is Pod listeners about all the cool things happening over on adfreeshows.com.
An all-new edition of The Insiders is here, as Conrad sits down with former WWE exec John Filippelli, who discusses his transition from the world of sports to pro wrestling, and his ultimate transition out of the company.
Every take was getting worse than the one before it. I said, you got to stop. You got to stop this. You got to calm down. Stop. Calm down. Stop yelling at people. Take it easy. Tell them exactly what you want and we'll get through it. Which is, I have done 100 times since, and I would do 100 times more.
Yes.
But that was Vince McMahon, and you don't do that to Vince McMahon, particularly in front or around
other people. Yeah.
That was my mistake. I mean, if you want to call it a mistake, although I would do it, I've done it since, and I would do it again.
Referee Nick Patrick is answering your questions every other Monday on our new mailbag series.
When Hall and Nash was there, they did great work, so they could keep head psychology. But they were cool. And a lot of people liked it, Yeah, we're selling merch, And Hogan had heat. He had actually more heat than them. They had heat, but a lot of people liked it because they were cool. I was the only real character that they was calling in the other time that everybody hated. Everybody wanted to see me get so it worked, they had, so it worked,
Tony and Conrad have taken their shenanigans in front of a live studio audience as they sat down live with Ad-Free Shows members.
Hey, did you ever pet Jake's snake?
No, never did. I had a chance to in Chicago, but it was way too big and out of my league.
What's the right size snake for you?
One that just coils up and leaves me alone.
Yeah.
Have you ever oranged a Cassidy before?
Oranged a Cassidy?
Yeah.
Would that be with one of those juicers, the juice machine, or you just squeeze it until all the juice comes out of it?
Yeah, it runs down your leg or his leg.
You got to be specific here with your dumbass questions here, Casio.
That's just a small taste, a sample. Best value in wrestling today. Sign up now. Right now.